Going into last season, it was Clemson, maybe Florida State, a few other teams like Miami, SMU, and then everybody else. And what appeared to be kind of a wide open ACC after Clemson slipped. And one of those teams that really stood out but flew under the national radar way too much were the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. This is a team that won 9 games last year, went 4-4 in the ACC. It's only their fourth 9-win season in the history of their program, and they've never had back-to-back 9-win seasons. Is this the moment for Jake Dickert and this program to continue these winning ways? You are listening to the You Think You Know Sports podcast. We are making our way around the nation, previewing everybody's college football season in FBS. We are almost done with the entire ACC. We've got Wake Forest and then Syracuse, who we inadvertently skipped going through ABC order, but we'll have the Orange up next. You can find out a lot more on these teams at youthinkyouKnowSports.com, as well as on my TikTok, You Think You Know Sports, which is spelled with a U instead of Y-O-U. So I hope that you'll come check us out there. We've got 10,000 followers on TikTok, and we're branching out to other places. So slowly but surely. So look, this Wake Forest team averaged just under 27 points per game last year. That was number 63 in the country, so pretty close to an average number. 381 yards per game, 71st best in the country. The defense was really the story. They held opponents to 23 points per game. That's 44th best in the country. And 336 yards per game, which is number 26 in the nation. So Wake Forest has got to find a little bit more on the offensive side of the ball. First off, Robbie Ashford, who formerly played at Auburn, was the starting quarterback for the Demon Deacons last year. And if you've watched Robbie Ashford play, he's much more of a runner than he is of a passer. Ashford ran it 130 times last year. Now, sacks would be included in that, obviously, because we're talking about college football here. But, he ran it every game. That was a huge part of what he was doing. And, he had 18 carries in the opener last year, right? He had 14 in the Duke's Mayo Bowl against Mississippi State. So, Ashford is no longer there. He was a senior who is now moved on in his life. Gio Lopez is likely going to be the new starting quarterback for Dickert and for the Demon Deacons here. Lopez is a big story, and I think part of that is because he was at South Alabama, and Bill Belichick needed a quarterback last year for his first season at North Carolina. Lopez is the handpicked guy to be that quarterback. He comes in. And, within the first 3 minutes on Labor Day night, leads North Carolina down the field for a touchdown against TCU. And it's like, man, we are in the new era of college football right now, the Bill Belichick era. Listen, we're all just going to be watching him collect ACC titles, apparently, because they're going to blow out TCU. And then I think TCU scored like the next 50 points. North Carolina's offense never looked as good as it did on the very first series of the entire season. And Lopez is now a Wake Forest Demon Deacon instead of playing for the Tar Heels. I think it meant a lot to Gio Lopez when Bill Belichick wanted him to be the quarterback. There's a great story written by David Hell on ESPN.com. It came out in April, about a month ago. It's May 27th, by the way, as we're talking about this. A lot is going to change with these rosters as we get ready for the season. But David Hell wrote a great story on Gio Lopez. And this was the exact quote in that story from his dad, Barney Lopez. It says, Gio has always been the kid who doubts that he's good enough. I told him, if you ever doubted yourself, you've got one of the best, if not the best, coaches to have ever done it, say he wants you. That was one of the proudest moments as a father. It just was unbelievable. Talking about Belichick wanting Gio Lopez as his quarterback. Well, then things did not go as planned. And, like Barney, his dad said, you've promised everything, what's going to happen, how it's going to happen. And then nothing that you were promised is how it transpired. And now Gio's quote in the article says, back at the other school, and he's talking about North Carolina, it felt like there's no air. Here it is fun again, and he's talking about Wake Forest. They're moving us in the right direction, energized, and guys are enjoying football. It's like fresh air. So, look, we'll see if Wake Forest gets a better, happier version of Gio Lopez. He threw for over 1,700 yards, 10 touchdowns, 5 picks last year. He completed 3 out of every 4 passes almost when kept clean, 74%. Completed about 50% when under pressure. Those are Pro Football Focus numbers. And only 25% of his deep passes. So, if you listen to Dickert talk about this team, one thing he says is he wants more of a vertical passing game this year. We'll see if Lopez is able to provide that for the Demon Deacons. He was actually much better at medium passes, 63% passing in the 10 to 19 yards down the field area, which is a good sign, I think, for this offense. While I talk a lot about deep throws, 20-plus yards down the field, your meat and potatoes of an offense are really going to be those 10 to 19-yard throws. So, Damon Claiborne was the entire focus of this offense. He was an unbelievable running back that not enough people knew about at Wake Forest. They ran the offense through him in many ways, and he is graduated. So they have brought in Katie Daniels from Florida, who just never could get enough carries there. Jaden Baugh is obviously the established starter. Florida's had a pretty good, probably a little underrated running back room. Katie Daniels never really got a chance to be the guy. He'll get a chance, maybe. Ty Clark and Jamar Searcy are also returning at running back. So we'll see if Wake Forest is able to have a pretty good running game this year in replacing Claiborne. They have one wide receiver back, Carlos Hernandez. And then you've got a couple guys, Chris Barnes and Sterling Burkhalter, transferred out. So they lost them. They also lost both offensive tackles, Melvin Siani and Mateen Igabarogba. Listen, I hope I'm pronouncing their names correctly. So a lot of question marks at wide receiver, I would say, that Wake is going to have to figure out, and at running back. But at least it appears their quarterback, they may have an answer in Gio Lopez. Now, defensively is a different story. This team is loaded on defense. They bring back 8 guys, 2 players that were all ACC honorable mention. Again, I'm taking the starters based on a CBS Sports article that listed starters from around the country. Look, the 2 guys that were honorable mention all ACC, Langston Hardy, Devon Patterson are both back. Hardy's a linebacker, Patterson a defensive back. They also brought in Deuce Blades, who made 36 starts at Florida International. So, there is a lot to like about this defense. Wake Forest was good enough on defense last year to compete at the highest level of the ACC, right? They were good enough to be there and win 4 games and to be right in the mix. And so if they can be as good as they were on that side of the ball, and I would think the expectations are that they will be, then look out. I mean, other than the Florida State game, which was just a complete train wreck, they got annihilated in Tallahassee, 42-7 to a really bad Florida State team. They beat SMU by 1 in an absolutely crazy game for anybody who missed it. They beat Virginia, who played for the ACC title. They lost to Duke by 3, who won the ACC title. I mean, look, I think that Wake was in a lot of games last year. Now, were they great against Duke on defense? Were they great against Florida State on defense? No. But they were good enough in most of their other games to be extremely competitive. The schedule is one that I think provides a lot of challenges early for this Wake Forest team. They open with Akron on Thursday, September 3rd. Then they have 9 days before they play at Purdue. Look, I understand Purdue is probably one of the teams you'd want to sign up for if you had to play a Power Four opponent non-conference and wanted to win. But going to West Lafayette, you never know, man. I think that's going to be a pretty good game. I've not broken down the Boilermakers yet, but will very soon. And then after that Purdue game, 6 days later, they play Miami at home, so they get them at Wake. Obviously, Miami is the favorite in the ACC. That is going to be a real test, especially on short rest. Then 8 days later, they go to Louisville. So I don't love the beginning. I mean, 3 of your first 4, I think you could theoretically lose. Purdue on the road, I mean, who knows with Akron, but Miami, Louisville, and Purdue are all challenging games. Louisville, a lot of people believe, is going to be a top 20 team this year. October 3rd, Stanford comes to Wake. Then back-to-back road games at NC State, at Cal. Home games, or you get a bye week before Virginia. Then you get Virginia on Halloween. You play Merrimack on November 7th. Then again, back-to-back road games at SMU, at Georgia Tech, and you again finish the year with ACC champion Duke. Okay, they are one of only 2 ACC teams that play at Cal or Stanford and at SMU. So 2 of the 3 longest trips that you could take for those East Coast teams traveling to the Central Time Zone or traveling to the West Coast. So I do think travel plays a factor here. And again, the back-to-backs, I hate it. I mean, NC State and Cal back-to-back, SMU and Georgia Tech back-to-back, I hate those. One of your toughest games is at Wake against Miami. Virginia comes to Wake. Duke comes to Wake. So maybe 3 of your toughest 5 or 6 games. But I think the schedule is going to make things really fun for Dicker and this team as they try to keep the momentum going. Guys, you've been listening to the You Think You Know Sports podcast. We are making our way around the country, trying to preview every team in college football. We're going to do the NFL as well. I go live every day on TikTok at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, Monday through Friday. Hope you'll join me there. We're also on just about every social media that you can find. Also, youthinkyouKnowsports.com with a U instead of YOU. That is my name everywhere on everything. So hope to see you guys on the next podcast when we break down the Syracuse Orange. See you there.